Well, I have been making fish this morning, and I'm using a single box of Italian white wine. Corfino, I think the name was. So I'll just show you the fish I made. And they're not in any particular order, though I do believe this was the first fish I made with this box. So we've got a fish with barcode fins going on. The box is composed of aqua, white, and black lettering. And so that will be the common denominator, though some fish only have blue and black on them. None have just black and white. So there's one. Compare and contrast that one with this one. This one is much simpler in terms of an overall look, not as frenetic. I'm learning things as I'm doing this. Here's another one. That's a very simple one. I'm learning that some of my fish all swim one way, and others of my fish swim another way when I'm making them, and sometimes they can swim both ways. They swim to the left and some swim to the right, but almost all of them, I've realized, almost all of them start with whatever I'm making they start this way and they're built toward the right, like I'm reading. Sometimes I'll have a piece of cardboard and it'll look like, oh, that'll make a nice tail. And I'll start with the tail and move toward the head. And other times I'll start with the head, something that looks like would make a good head, and I'll move toward the tail. I can't remember how this one started. Sometimes too, I'll start a fish this way, and I'll realize it looks better upside down. So sometimes that happens. When I work on boxes like this, I often will do what I think are the easy ones first, and then I'll work on the harder ones, because the ones that are less obvious become, I have to think a little bit harder, and I don't want to repeat myself too much, and I have fewer pieces to work with. Griffon, I think was the name of this wine, has an O, which you see right here. And sometimes they get used up really quick, and then I've got G's to contend with instead. So anyway, his is sort of a lobed fin fish, rounded with the straight bits being the fins and body. Little teeth there. I don't know if you can see. Come on, get in focus. Teeth. There's the pearly whites. So he's facing that way. As I'm putting them down here in a little collection, I end up seeing how similar some of them are. This one, again, the lettering, the G, the O, became the gill and I, and then the mouth is just made by cutting. I should know the names of these fish parts so I can describe them better. Okay, let's do some other ones. Sometimes after a fashion, I'll have a piece of cardboard that looks, like this, all jagged and nasty because I've cut out the parts I wanted, and then I've got this thing, and what can I do with that? Well, in this case, I had this piece of cardboard that I had taken the good parts out, but that became a tail, a zigzaggy, jagged looking tail, so I made the found other parts that also were jagged, and they became the fins. Let's see, here's another G, is a mouth, head, gill thing. An O with an eyebrow, an OI or ON, I don't know what that was part of. And a W became the little lower teeth. There was this little dotted line that was, it was cut here, and it showed a little X-Acto knife next to it, and you would cut the box down to make a little pretty display at the liquor store. So far I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fish that are going this way and only one going that way. I guess I was doing a lot of, no, here's a fish going the t'other way. So it had Roman lettering, it had block lettering, and it had cursive lettering. And so the cursive and block and Roman lettering all got together to make this fish. It's a very festive looking tail. So, and that's swimming this way, so that goes on that pile. Here's another fish swimming that way with just 2 bits of black, a big old eye and a dotted line. Some fish are more simple than others. Another fish going that way. Again, the heads of fish are the most varied and least repetitive, I guess is the right word. You know, they're not scales, they're not fins with spikes that are parallel lines. They're gills and mouths and eyes and little flipper bits. So the cursive lettering works nicely in that area, but it also worked well as a tail, as you saw. So I'm trying to see if there's any similarity in how I was creating these fish, and I haven't really seen any. Here we have, oh, that has some teeth, nice shiny white dentures it looks like in here. It's just a set of upper and lower teeth. Very simple fish. This one here is, you know, plain back half and fin and nasty looking teeth. The griffin is the griffin. So this was a picture of a little, well, a griffin, a lion body and a bird head. So it became sort of the really angry looking, toothy head of this fish. Looks sort of like a piranha. Let's go down here. They're both swimming that way. Okay, Pierre. Two more here. Okay. This one has a barcode, a serial code, and a big eye. This one has a dotted line and gills and an eye. And these are sort of motley. They're a little bit more made up of many disparate parts. And also polychromatic in the sense that there are 3 colors rather than just 2. This was sort of a nose and a mouth shape out of that R. The 6 becomes an I. Part of an R and another part of an R become the tail. It almost looks like a person walking here, but it's a fish. It's supposed to be a fish. Again, swimming there's only, right now, there's 4 swimming one way and all the rest are swimming the other way. I'm running out of little pieces. This time the C became a tail, and this C became a gill, and part of an O on the serial. See, this piece fit right in here. See? It's like plate tectonics, sea floor spreading. And I just cut a little notch for the mouth. This would be a fun project to, let's say there's a wine box collector out there in the world, and this is a very rare box. They would go to the museum and buy all of my fish and reconstruct the box to its original state. This is, I was sort of running out. I wasn't doing anything with these. I took out a lot of the O's for eyes and W's for teeth. And then I said that's why this says height rather than white. And there's a W that I left. But, and this was next to the dotted line. Cut along this line for your display, to create display. But all of this was left over, and this was a big jagged piece of, I mean, much of this is one piece, and then I found the other pieces and just glued it all together. Like, see this, here's this one piece here was what started it. I picked it up and I thought, okay, how can I turn this into a fish? So that's how it got turned into a fish. This is a little tiny mouth and a little tiny eye. And that one's going that way. Okay. A few more left here. Oops. And then I've got all sorts of more parts left. This one I've discovered on the floor. This piece had fallen down. I had glued this to the mouth, and I don't know where I was originally going to go with this, but because it had fallen on the ground, it was out of sight, out of mind. Now it's back on my table, and I thought, well, now what do I do with it? So whatever the original plans were, I do not know. It's lost to history. But what I did here was, again, it's mainly cursive lettering, the 2 F's of whatever the F is, fruttato. The 2 F's become the calligraphic tail. The of becomes the eye and the sort of eyebrow. An N becomes a mouth. So it's fun. Again, that one's swimming the same way. I'm just trying to figure this out. This one, I started in the middle. Griffon, the IF, it started out here with that IF, and this was an IF. I had to turn it into an FF, but this was an IF. So if glued to if, and then that glued to an E, to another E. So I have this now, this arced fish body. I had to cut a part of an E or F to glue on top of that, so I suppose I should do it here too, but whatever, I'm not going to. The mouth, these little pincher-like mouths are top and bottom of an E, and just so it didn't turn into one big mush of black serif lettering, I decided I needed to create fins. The fins were all made of the black and white and blue things, just to give it some structure. If these were all black, I think it wouldn't work at all. It just would look like that, just chaos. So structure, whether it be, there has to be some structure. I can't make, it wouldn't hold together if it didn't have some things that sort of pulled parts of it in one direction, and then you could look at the rest of it. Now I see the fins. Oh, there's the body. It makes sense now. Okay, another one going that way so far. Here, I took just lots of those things and turned it into vertical stripes. And here, at the end, I have mainly blue, mainly blue, mainly blue, mainly blue. And then the head is with its W teeth and its pointed snout there. This is kind of its gill area that's behind the head. So that's sort of this jagged picket fencey looking body. I probably should glue a single piece of cardboard going across the whole back there so it's not as flexible and will hold together. Lastly, I had the wings of the griffin became a tail, and then I thought, well, I'll use the eye of griffin to make the long skinny body, but I needed to build a belly, so I had to add that, and then these became those fins. Then we've got the gill, the eye, the mouth, which is made of the paws of the griffin. And then this is one of those fish that swims up to the surface of the pond and spits at the little bumblebee or whatever it is that it's consuming. So here it's spitting at the thing. So that one, I will just assemble that for you. It's at the top. Okay. So here we are. Here's the fish. These four are swimming that way. These whatever are swimming that way, and that one is getting its bug. Now, do we have any other can I make any other generalizations? The black and white and blue stripe things are all swimming this way. I don't know if that means anything. Probably not. Now I do have, this is what I have left. I have a lot of, I've got these two things cut here for pretty display. They can be part of something. I have lots of griffin-y parts that I could make. I've got a lot of this stuff left. So I still have, and now I also have a lot of this stuff. So I think I have enough for another 4 or 5 fish before I have to call it a day. Now look at something like this. Now this could be part of a fish. Here's the body and there's part of the tail. If I take this, now I've got maybe the tail. But I don't know. I can't look at all of these little bits. This can be another vertical striped fish. Do I have enough to do that? I don't know if I have enough to do that. When I cut these things out, I'm thinking of one fish at a time. And if I knew I was going to cut, if I knew I wanted to make 2 of these fishes, the vertical stripes, like that one over there, I might have been more careful about how I was cutting these down. But I can't think that far in advance, so I work aggressively. And if this was very expensive vellum paper, and I was making this out of vellum, which is made of calf skin and things like that, and it's very expensive by the square inch, I might be more careful about what I'm doing. But because this is a piece of cardboard I got out of the trash, I don't have to worry about that. At this point, it's kind of like building a puzzle, a jigsaw puzzle, because what I'm doing is I'm looking for the cursive lettering to go on that pile to make a fish. I've got all sorts of lines. I don't really have very many more of the Roman lettering. Is this enough of a piece to make a fish? It might be. Product of Italy. Well, it seems to me I've got 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 more fish out of this thing. And again, this piece right here, that might be 3/4 of a fish. I don't know. That's again the fun of building these things is it's such a delight to come across a shape or a color or whatever it is in my brain anyway, not necessarily yours, but my brain will immediately think, oh, that's an eye, or that's a mouth, or that's a fin, where 9/10 of the people on the planet, or 99/100ths, or greater, would look at this and just think it's a bunch of fucking garbage. Pardon my French. So anyway, there we go. I still have lots of fun. What do you think? Fun? Fun. Bye.